All right, let's crunch some numbers and look at some facts on flooding. So, not so fun facts. As little as 6 inches of fast moving water can knock you off your feet and sweep away most any vehicles off a roadway. 6 inches. Let's see here. I got a thing here, Yeah. That much water. That's 6 inches of water. If it's moving fast enough, knock you right off your feet, dead. Possibly. Drive through it. It's only 6 inches. Moving fast enough, we'll move that car right on down the road, right on down the river channel. Flooding causes more damage in the U.S. than any other severe weather-related event on average, with costing about $5 billion a year. That's on average. Sometimes hurricanes are more, sometimes this is more, sometimes that's more, but on average, if we're looking over a long period of time, flooding is it. It can occur in all 50 of the states or U.S. territories at any time of the year. So it's something to be thinking about. So these are all the billion-dollar weather events of 2021, of last year, of which you can see there's a couple events that occurred. January, flooding in California. May, flooding occurring in Louisiana. So those individual events cost $1 billion or more. From 1980 to 2021, these are all billion-dollar flooding disasters. Again, this isn't like deaths. This is just, these are all states, or I should say, this shows you the cost of flooding for this 41-year period from 1980 to 2021. The darker the color, the more its cost. So in this 40-year period, states like Iowa, Texas, California, you're looking at $20 to $50 billion worth of damage from flooding. If you can believe that. Some of these white states, it's not that they didn't have floods. They do, but maybe they just didn't, track them or cause excessive $1 million of damage. But this is just cost dollar over that 40-year period. But yeah, Texas, Louisiana, California, Iowa, which is right along the Mississippi River on one side, I believe the Missouri River on the other side. Also, we'll be looking at a river in Iowa for our lab. So, Iowa, it's kind of sandwiched between some big rivers. The worst flood in U.S. history happened in 1889 in Pennsylvania. It actually resulted from a dam breaking upstream from the town. So I guess it's like a modified flash flood, river flood type thing. Although ample warnings were given that this dam was just gonna fail, they were just disregarded by many townspeople, and over 2,000 residents died in that single flooding event. It ripped through the town, and that's kind of what was left in Johnstown. As far as notable floods in the past 25 years, 2005, southern Louisiana. This is due to Hurricane Katrina. Again, pushing almost 2,000 casualties, $100 billion total cost from Hurricane Katrina and the resulting flooding. The areas below sea level, which are obviously the most at risk for flooding, are generally the areas that cost the least to live, hence the poorest areas of New Orleans. So when Hurricane Katrina hit and the flooding occurred, unfortunately, disproportionately, the poorer areas were affected, just because those poorer areas were below sea level, which is just a horrible place to live when you live right next to the ocean, and so flooding really hit there pretty hard. 2012, Superstorm Sandy came in. A lot of the destruction that occurred along the New Jersey and New York shore really caused them to pay attention and think about the region's future because of climate change and rising sea levels, and how this storm, caused a storm surge flood onto land because of rising sea levels. But 1996, 1998, El Nino was blamed for unstable weather, so a lot of rainstorms in the southeastern U.S. Um, yeah, we'll talk more about El Nino in a later unit. Slow movement of Hurricane Harvey in 2017 caused a lot of deaths down in Texas, 89 deaths, but you're looking at $126 plus billion in damage. So, Hurricane Katrina, a lot of this area, poor areas of New Orleans, below sea level, just completely devastated. Superstorm Sandy, storm surge moving in along the Jersey and New York coast. You can see a lot of those houses, very nice houses, very rich areas, kind of caused them to sit up and say, "Oh my goodness, we gotta do something." 1996, just some images from the Appalachian states. The southeastern U.S., again, looks like more river flood. I would say that's more river flood as well. And then Hurricane Harvey, kind of storm surge pushing into Houston, which is also right on the coast. The world's most deadliest floods, though, if we were looking at throughout the world and throughout history, in 1931, China, 4 million deaths along the Yangtze, I think it's pronounced Hui rivers. 4 million deaths. So only 140,000 people drowned. The rest of these millions of deaths then was a result of famine and disease, cholera. Famine, blocked off. Maybe the food crops were destroyed or blocked off. Roadways, they couldn't get food into these areas, which also helped to spread disease, cholera in the case. So 4 million people dead from that. Number 2, also China, 2 million people, 1887, the Yellow River flood. I'm trying to figure out why I highlighted that. I think it should be just, so just heavy days of rain flooded the river, so a river flood. I think the thing should be just down here. I think I just highlighted the wrong spot. Number 3, China. Again, well, just take a look. China. China takes the top 5. Netherlands in 6, and the U.S.'s worst flood, a Johnstown flood, takes 58th place. So I just kind of put it there for reference. But the Yellow River flooded again in China, man-made this time. It was in this case. There was the Second Sino-Japanese War, the war between Japan and China, and in an attempt to stop the rapidly advancing Japanese forces, the Chinese blew up their own dam to try and stop the forces kind of coming up this valley. And it's been called the largest act of environmental warfare in history. It killed 800,000 people. Not sure if it worked or not. Yangtze River flood in China. Again, for number 5. The river basin of the Yangtze is home to 1/3 of China's population, which, FYI, is a lot. So between the Yangtze and Yellow River in China, they get hit pretty good. So here's the Yellow River, here's the Yangtze River. Goes through a lot of China, even up into Tibet and Nepal and Mongolia. So these are 2 major rivers flowing through some major towns. The Yellow River just south of Beijing, and the Yangtze River flows out past Shanghai. So major rivers. Even now, you get major flooding. The extensive population of China, the world's most populous country, major rivers, a lot of storms, a lot of rain, a lot of precipitation. Climate change is actually changing that a little bit. It's actually kind of drying out a little bit, but you're still seeing major flooding in China. So as far as the world goes, the worst flooding events, 1 through 5, have been in China. And they will probably continue to be in China. So let's pause there. When we come back, let's focus specifically about flooding right here in Arizona. I'll see you back here in just a second.